Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll be getting back into the JRC here in a moment, but first, the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, the pertinent links are going to be there in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive. We also have the article written by Neuroplastic, the one where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The very same one, by the way, that the JRC threatened to sue them over with a defamation lawsuit. So if you see that link in there, we always include for their GoFundMe. If you could donate, I know they would appreciate it. If not, please share it, because unlike the JRC, we do not have access to unlimited funding, just in case they ever do see through with the threat. Trigger warnings: when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is advised. Alright, to the final sentence of this paragraph. Alright. SAS can now brush her teeth with minimum verbal prompts, go to the bathroom on her own, and bathe herself with minimal and physical verbal prompts. JRC, here's my question. If you remove the device from SAS, are you able to confirm for me whether afterwards the student is going to continue with the brushing the teeth with minimal prompts, go to the bathroom, and bathe herself? Can you answer that question? There's a reason I asked that question, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But just now, just for the JRC, I would like to know, do they think the method that they're using can actually lead to real change that will follow the student long after they've left the halls of the JRC, or not? I ask this for multiple reasons. The first one being, SAS is a 31-year-old woman. 31-year-old woman. If this was real change, as opposed to doing these activities to avoid punishment, then why is everyone so stuck on making sure she stays there? If she's doing all these things and the JRC thinks it's real positive changes, then if it's really changed, she doesn't need to be on the device anymore, does she? If they thought that there was real change and real growth, SAS would not still be at the JRC right now while we are talking here. And the JRC and the parents wouldn't have even tried to fight the usual transfer over into adult services like all the rest of us folks within the service system goes through. And they wouldn't be trying to continuously stop her from leaving the JRC. So what that tells me is she may be doing all of these things, but she's doing them under duress. Let me dig more into that, shall I? When most of our neurodivergents go through insanely horrific amounts of trauma, particularly around this age period, we're in abusive situations, right? Which means we may have not only learned life skills, but learned them at far earlier ages than most kids do. I was cooking full meals by the age of 9. Peanut butter sandwiches by 5. Okay? Okay. But that duress, day after day, year after year, it wears on you. So suddenly, you are taken out of that abusive situation. You no longer have the metaphorical sword of Damocles hanging precariously over your neck. And you have exhausted yourself way beyond the normal capacity of even most neurotypicals. And you fall into, especially for us, we call it, there's other time, I know there's ADHD burnout, but the one I'm most familiar with because I went through it myself is autistic burnout. When you're in the process of autistic burnout, I'll be blunt, you lose life skills. You use life skills that you were already doing for years. In fact, beforehand, could have done those very things perfectly every time, blindfolded with one arm and one leg tied behind your back. But when that burnout hits, out of nowhere, you lose those skills. It's a hard experience to describe. You just literally can't remember how to do them, can't even think of how to do them. Mine was severe. I literally had to learn to read potty train myself at 16 goddamn years old. That will probably keep me at least somewhat humble for the rest of my days. I lost the skills to cook, to make my own lunches, money skills. I've been handling money for a good long minute. Hygiene. The reason why was when I was doing those things previously and learned how to do them, I was doing so under duress. When you are under duress, there is a particular type of stress that puts on the body and on the mind. Then suddenly, when all that stress and fear is removed, what sets in is a soul-deep exhaustion. Okay? Like, kind of felt like my brain was flatlining. I lost a lot of skills. Hell, even my writing changed for a very short moment. I've always wrote very small, and I had some of the childish writing I had not seen come from my hand since I was like 8 or 9. Okay? That's burnout. And I had to relearn those skills. It was a deeply humiliating and extremely painful process that took at least a year and a half to start getting me back up at least halfway to where I was before that burnout happened. That is why I'm asking the question here. They are using this as evidence in regards to how successful using this horrific device on people like me are. So that's why I asked the question. Can the JRC tell me if these wonderful changes are genuine or the mask? The easiest way to tell is to remove the GED device. Because if once you remove the device, all those skills go the way of the dodo. That means the change was not genuine. The change is not genuine. It means it was done only under duress. And due to said duress and years of trauma, they go into burnout and begin to lose those skills. You see it a lot with these kids that they talk about bringing them back to the center. They put them back on the device, and now they're behaving again. If you have to bring them back and put them back on the device, the so-called changes were never real. Never real. Which means you are abusing them for no reason other than continue to collect your $265,000 a year off of them. If it's not real change, what is the point in continuing it? It also brings me to the point to say again, the punishment model cannot produce true, real, positive changes. Because whatever so-called changes happen are done under duress. The duress is gone, so are the so-called changes. Real changes would stay there regardless of whether they were stuck on the GED or not. The fact that these parents fight to send their kids back to the JRC when after, like everybody does, a certain age they move them onto adult services and all those so-called changes go away. Parents, look me in the eye here. You know and I know what that really means. The changes weren't real. And they are not going to follow them out of the JRC to benefit them out there later in the real world. The only way you can get to real positive changes is to deal with the underlying problems that are triggering the behavior. It's not instant. It's not like the GED device where I will immediately stop whatever I'm doing. But the changes afterwards are real. And they do stay with us. Long after we've moved past that point and come to another part of our overall treatment program while we age. Makes sense, doesn't it? we're going to go ahead and close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time, folks. You know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all here in a few minutes. Bye, everyone.